January's ice jams led to rising waters of the Susquehanna River and even, of course, some flooding. It all brought back longtime concerns for some residents in Luzerne County who wonder how future flooding can be prevented.
People in the West Pittston area don't have a levee protecting them from high river waters. In a special report, Fox 56's Katie Berlin has been exploring the possibility of one being built. Katie?
When Joe Sachi steps out his West Pittston home, he doesn't see the Susquehanna River. He sees large chunks of ice.
Well, I'm glad in a way that they stopped here, because these are very, very heavy objects.
They're left over from last month's ice jam that flooded Susquehanna Avenue and many surrounding streets.
They're like rock.
While Joe's waterfront property is no stranger to floodwaters leaking in his home and leaving mud in his basement, these are a first.
Because in 1985, the flood was in a warmer weather. We didn't contend with this.
He moved here 30 years ago and says the community was surveyed on putting up a levee system to prevent floods.
We were newbies here. We thought it was a great idea, but a lot of the old fogies that had been here for years didn't think that they wanted to take away the view of the Susquehanna River permanently.
Bill Goldsworthy remembers things a bit differently. The day the Army Corps of Engineers came to assess for a levee, he was a borough councilman. He recalls it as the Valentine's Day Massacre, February 14th, 1991.
West Pittston wanted levees. The borough officials wanted levees. Most of the residents wanted levees, but there was a small outspoken group that spoke and saying, "Yeah, we don't, we like the view, we don't want levees." And of course, that's what got publicized.
That year and several years since, including 2017, the Army Corps of Engineers has done studies to determine whether or not a West Pittston levee project is feasible. They say, based on a cost-benefit analysis, that it's not.
That's unfortunate. I mean, I live a block away from the river. I mean, I'd love to have a levee down there, and I'd love to be protected so I never ever have to worry about it. But we just don't qualify.
According to the most recent project study, a levee would cost over $51.4 million. The maximum federal expenditure is just $10 million.
When you think about raising the levees, they raised the levees in Wilkes-Barre and Kingston. They already had a levee in the ground and the walls coming up, so they added on top of it. Cost a couple $1 million, not real expensive. But in West Pittston, you'd have to start in the ground, build from the base up to as high as they were going to go to protect it.
West Pittston Mayor Tom Blaskowitz doesn't want the dialogue to stop at the financial bottom line.
It's a shame that it seems like a conversation about a levee or protection for the residents in this town always gets ignited when there's either flooding or icing or some kind of disaster that's knocking on our door.
The 29-page study notes 6 major floods since Agnes in 1972 and says that without implementation of any measures, the borough of West Pittston will continue to suffer economic losses, loss of employment base, and face potential loss of life due to recurring flood damages from the Susquehanna River.
There's no question that the feeling is shifting, and if you look down the road, you see the empty lots. People have taken the money and left town and had their houses ripped down.
Those houses were bought out by FEMA, demolished in a pre-disaster mitigation program. But Dr. Jerry Reisinger of the Susquehanna River Watch and Seneca Nation of Indians says there may be a way to help prevent future flooding without adding a levee system. He compares the West Pittston Channel to a clogged storm drain.
The levee system works fine as long as you keep the channel clean on the riverside of the levee. If you allow debris to build up and erosion to exist, it destabilizes the levee system.
Dr. Reisinger says cleaning up the riverbanks and adding a park system like Nesbitt would make all the difference.
This is historically how the Iroquois had the valley when the Europeans came. It was an open landscape, trees, non-eroding turf, which allowed the water to flow in and ice to flow in and flow out without any obstruction. And this is what West Pittston needs.
But opinions remain mixed on the waterfront.
Talked to people and they said, I'm not worried about it. Let the river come up, we'll deal with it. It doesn't happen that often. I like the area. I've had people say if I could sell a house tomorrow, I'd sell it, but I don't think anybody will buy it.
And while he has been hoping for a levee for 30 years, he tells us he doesn't know if he'll be around another 30 to see if it ever happens.
I don't know what the future's going to hold. It could be just no homes on the riverbank. It could be just, big empty lots.
County flood experts say a lot of unknowns come with dredging because of the mines underneath. Whatever protections may come for the borough of West Pittston, officials say there may come peace of mind, but there's no guarantee that anything will completely prevent the borough from flooding. Live in the news center, Katie Berlin, Fox 56 News, first at 10.